Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the darkest timeline. So, it's time for me to talk about all the stuff that's been going on in the last week. Riveting, I know. We're talking about dropping a gene size. It's a big milestone, dropping a gene size. Size? The ups and downs of the fasting world and what that entails. And computer games. Good thing or a bad thing? Find out. We've got movies and more computer games, a variety of various different types. So stay tuned for that. No TV this week, I'm afraid. Sorry TV lovers, no TV. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And share the podcast around. Word of mouth is a wonderful thing. So please do consider sharing the podcast around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, Darkest Timeline. Hello. How you doing? Are you well? Got all theatrical there for a second. Oh, yes, of course. Of course I can't put my chair where I want it to because of the 9,000 cables. No, I know I've never said that before. Are you well? Feels like a loaded question these days. Nobody in my house is well at the moment. I feel like I am probably, touch wood, that's not wood, but that is. Touch wood, I am probably wellest. It's not how that's said. I'm probably the healthiest person in my house at the moment, and that's saying something because I don't feel amazing right now. I'm hoping that it's not that the low-level germs I was carrying have turned into something else. I'm hoping it's something that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So yes, I hope you are well. I feel that might be a stretch, seeing as everybody seems to be ill at the moment. Tying radiator or my little gloves. I'm really sad because I burnt my gloves when it was my daughter's birthday, setting off a sparkler candle thing. I thought I was quick enough, and I wasn't, and I burnt them. And I got sad. So, I got a new pair of jeans. Just going to let that sit for a moment. Just going to wait for the realisation to set in of whoever going, and that's news, is it? It is when your new pair of jeans has to be a size smaller. That's right. Finally dropped a jean size. I'll hold my hands up on this one. I feel like it was a little bit of a cheat because the pair of jeans I wore today are ever so slightly stretchy. Those like little stretchy jobbies. But in my defence, there were two pairs of jeans. The second pair were not a stretchy jean and also fit and were also the smaller size. They were a little tighter, but, I could do them up. I could sit down in them. Chicken dinner. The weirdest thing in all this, today ends yet another week of fasting. I'm going to go into a couple of things. I've decided to make some changes. I am starting to wonder if I may have possibly swapped one eating disorder for another. I am aware that this is a thing that can happen. It is an actual thing where you go from constantly overeating to just a massive overcorrection. I swear, I promise, any other sort of guarantees you want from me, there is a plan. I do have a plan. A lot of it sounds like insanity. If the plan works, I will write a book. I think so far the plan is somewhat on track, and I am simultaneously scared and excited for the end of the plan. The end of the plan is the kind of first day of the rest of your life kind of thing. That's the bit I'm not looking forward to, because that's the bit where you basically have to commit to a life of trying not to use the word misery. But in a lot of ways, that kind of is it, isn't it? But that's further down the line. In theory, that's I'm going to estimate a month away, but I already don't think that's true. So what am I feeling? What am I thinking? Well, yes, it's fantastic to drop a jean size. The problem was I dropped a jean size, tried them on finally. I'd had them a couple of days before I tried them on. I think that was a psychological thing more than anything. Tried them on, they fit. I was like, fuck me. We're there, are we? Things like some would say 1 jean size away from where I should be. Other people would say I'm 2 jean sizes away from where I should be. Honestly, there was a point not too long ago where I would have never imagined being in the jeans that I was wearing today at all. So why then the next day do I go in the bathroom to get ready to do whatever it is that I'm going to do, get up, get sorted, get ready for the day, look in the mirror and think, you are, all of the negatives. You're gross, you're disgusting, look at you, you're awful. This is something that's high at the moment, breaking through this boundary of, seriously doing something to get rid of the weight, has brought a lot of negative self-talk with it. You're disgusting. You look awful. Why? Look at you. You're terrible. Oh, you've lost weight, but why do you look so bad? All of this. It's great. As I say, a lot of my ways of doing things is not for everybody. It's not for the weak, the weak of constitution. It's not for the easily offended. I had a conversation with one of my children about fat shaming. Like, Daddy, you said fat, and that's not nice. And I said, it's called fat shaming, darling, and I absolutely encourage it. I am one of those rare people. So the self-talk, and let's face it, self-loathing is high. There's a part of me that kind of likes it because that's what's going to push me forward. That's what's going to drive me on. That's what's going to make me do another fast when I probably won't want to. That's what's going to make me push through of 7 days. There are 2 days that you absolutely don't want to do it. It's that. Oh man, I really want something to eat. Oh man, that pizza looks good. All of that stuff. And then that turns into, yeah, I bet it looks good, doesn't it, fat boy? It's that, So that's an aspect. Guinness seems weird. Just foamy. So yesterday I reached my lowest weight. I've picked a point in time, so I'm saying it's the lowest weight in 15 years. It's probably more. I honestly think at this point in time, I won't be where I was 25 years ago, when I was working hard on a six-pack. But I'm saying it's 15 years. It's probably more like 20, to be fair. So Monday today, weigh-in day. I was worried, and I'll go through why I was worried. But knowing that yesterday was my lowest weight in all of this time, I expected, was hopeful for today to be also the lowest, which it was. And between last Monday and this Monday, I lost 15 pounds, which is good, kind of cool to say. Obviously, I am cheating my way through this. At this point in time, I will be down the best part of 3 stone. It's not 3 stone, but it's the best part of 3 stone from where I was just in this constant fluctuation. So again, you go, I'm the lowest weight. I've dropped a jean size. Why do I feel so shit? So I had this thing, we're on Monday today. Saturday and Sunday, I'd not really lost weight. I think over the 2 days, I had a combined like 2.5 pounds over 2 days, which was difficult to swallow. It's always, when you sort of get into the back end of like a week, it's always hard to deal with. And it's just not fun. I really struggled through Saturday. And Saturday was one of the days of the 7 where I really wanted to just eat something. Stepping on the scales and seeing like 0.6 or 0.8 of a pound lost. Not fun. So it was a struggle. And yeah, like, I've not exactly been a happy bunny recently. Again, it was one of those. I thought it was something to do with the lack of eating, and that is a well-known side effect of that. However, I have eaten today, and I am still working through some rage issues. So I'm going to double back, and then I'll double back again. There is a new plan. The new plan is this. The fast goes fine, it goes well, has its ups and downs, but basically it's kind of... It's just about manageable. Followed that by a week of eating, that is the point, that is the bit that's not the answer. So I am reducing the week down to 3 days. So today, I have had 2 meals today. We've got tomorrow, which, the way I'm feeling right now, I don't even think I need to eat tomorrow, but I will at some point. And Wednesday was planned as an eating day, but I've messed up a podcast schedule and basically lost a meal time. So I'll have to eat during the day, and then that's me done. Back to fasting. What the idea there is hoping to reduce the amount of weight that goes back on through the eating phase, to then get a full run of fasting and ideally push through another boundary. My goal is to see a different stone number soon. So keep posted on that. I've got this whole coming back to the not being a happy boy, not being a super happy bunny. I've got the two things working, and one is it the lack of eating? Is it the lack of the food? Yes, that's a known side effect. Fully expected. Not great, because it's me being a grumpy Gus and forcing that onto other people, so that's not okay. I have this other thing at the moment, that there are aspects of my life that aren't the way I want them. I've got a couple of ups and downs in the house. Leanne is super poorly. Leanne's got pneumonia. And obviously, as I'm sure people can imagine, that has this sort of like massive knock-on effect to pretty much everything. I've got a couple of issues with a couple of my children, that things just aren't quite how I would want them to be, and I'm in this sort of real tear of wanting them to have a certain standard of life. And then this other sort of, like, there's a selfish aspect to them where I want to see them, I want to spend time with them, and all of that. So, is that part of it? My driving commentary may have made a slight return, which in itself has made me a little bit annoyed with myself. And yeah, at the moment, shortest version is it's not the happiest of times at the moment, and kind of just white knuckling it at the moment, just to try and hold on, and just ride this rather weird wave. There's like, I'll give you an example. I've got like this handful of things coming up over the next few days, couple of weeks, month sort of thing, that I'm like, I've just got to get through. I'll give you an example. I've just got to get through the weekend. It's Monday today. I've just got to get through the weekend. But before I get through the weekend, I've got to get through tomorrow, which is going to be, a difficulty. I've got to get through Wednesday, which has its own difficulties. Thursday, it's going to be difficult. Friday, I've got like all sorts of stuff to deal with Friday. Then there's the weekend. Just got to find some way to get through the weekend, and so on and so on and so on. Brings us to the week after. The week after, who knows what's going to come of the week after? There's all sorts of stuff to take into account for it. And it's just that. And then I've got, children are going to be on holiday in a like 2 or 3 weeks or something. So I've got that to think. And it's just, I feel like life recently has been a lot of, I just need to get to X. The problem is there's always an X. Like, I remember being like, I've just got to get through my daughter's birthday. And then once I got through my daughter's birthday, it was Christmas. And I've just got to get through Christmas. And then, I've just got to get through New Year. And then, I've just got to get through my daughter's birthday. And, I've just got to get through to the end of January. And, I've just got to get through. And it's just that realization of, shit, it's all that. I've just got to get through X. And I suppose the whole sentence is, and then it'll be better. And it isn't. So maybe that's it. I don't know. An interesting development. I have caveated this with many question marks. However, many moons ago, many moons ago, Leanne bought me a gift, and that gift was a pull-up bar. And it's one of the door frame pull-up bars. We attached it to one of the door frames in the house, and realised after a little while that A, I absolutely could not do a pull-up, and B, it was actually damaging the wall. Not the wall as such, but long story. It was doing minor damage, but damage nonetheless. So it came down, it got put away. That was the end of that. 6-8 months ago, something like that, the pull-up bar made a magical, what word am I thinking of? Reappearance, and was on a different door frame, and seemed to be fine and became a permanent fixture. And unlike me, Leanne found that she was able to do pull-ups. So she started doing pull-ups at various points in time. I tried half a dozen different things and had the same result I've always had. I used to go to 2 different gyms at 2 different times. One was 7 or 8 years ago, and one was 2 or 3 years ago. And they had assisted pull-up machines. And I used to have to put the machines on the highest possible assisted weight to even attempt a pull-up. And obviously, you don't really move away from that unless you spend a lot of time and a lot of effort, A, trying to do pull-ups, and B, trying to make your body easier to pull up, lose the weight, get stronger, etc. And that was basically that. That's pull-ups. I don't think it was last night. I think it was the night before. This is the thing I can't remember. Either my son or my daughter was in the bathroom, and I was kind of waiting, and I'm stood and I'm waiting. And I'm looking around, and I was like, pull-up bar, and all of a sudden I got this urge to go and try and do a pull-up. Now, because of being in the camp of I can't do this, I never really put any thought or effort into it. I was like, I can't do it, so why even bother trying? But suddenly I was overcome with this urge to try. I went over, grabbed all the bar, tried to get my feet into a position where I wasn't able to jump, because that's always been my sort of thing. Like, I had to do like a little jump to do a fake half a pull-up thing. So I tried to put my feet in a position where I couldn't jump, and then just essentially pulled. And found that potentially, because of the considerably reduced weight from the last few months, the fact that I spend a lot of time, I put a lot of effort into trying to maintain the muscle through these fasts and things, whatever the reason, higher energy at that point in time, who knows? Maybe it was the caveman part of the fast. Who knows what reason? It would appear that I was able to do, I would say, 80-85% of a pull-up. I think there was still, even though my legs and feet were in a position where I wasn't doing any sort of jump, I think there was still maybe a bit of like a spring step thing. I turned to whichever child it was and I was like, do you see that? So, obviously since then, I've been like, maybe I should give that another go at some point. So last night, I was like, all right, time to give this a go. Gave it a go, managed to do sort of a couple. Leanne had a very weak, like a, I'm not saying she's weak. I'm saying she's very poorly. So was unable to achieve very much in the way of a pull up. And then I had another go, and I was like, look, I'm not jumping. Managed to do like a pull up, and then when I came down, like sort of press off the floor to do a second. And I'm like, yeah, it's not ideal, but better than nothing. So this evening I did sort of 3, and I'm like, obviously the big thing is I know that like when Leanne's there, she's like, you're jumping. So I put a lot of effort and as much energy into not jumping, not being able to jump, not allowing myself to jump as I could, just so that I could say I didn't jump, I did a pull up. Feel that I achieved the best result this evening. However, going back to what I was saying at the start of the podcast, I'm not sure if I'm fighting germs or if my arms are just absolutely screaming from attempted pull-ups. My arms hurt a lot at this point in time, so it's either that the germs are taking me, or there's a possibility of pull-ups being a thing. So I am taking a climbing slot in the morning, because obviously Leon's not in a position to go climbing, and they have a proper, genuine pull-up bar. So I'm going to see if I can sneak a pull-up or 2 in there. See how we get on with that. Something I've spoken about in the past, something I've spoken about previously, something that has come up again over the weekend, and it was one of those. I mentioned it to Lan yesterday as what are your thoughts and feelings on this? Me and my eldest have got very much into playing Vampire Survivors. I play it when she's not around, not able to play, and she plays it when she is. And we get very animated talking about it. We each learn stuff and learn tricks and learn part of the levels, and I'll be like, oh, I've unlocked a new character, and she'll be like, have you had one of these things before where this happens? I was like, oh no, that's not happened to me. Why? What does it do? It's like that. And then when she's playing, I'm like, oh, look at that thing. Oh, if you go over there and do. So it's like that. But as I said to Leanne last night, I was like, if I didn't mention it to my eldest, she would never come to me and say, oh, we're going to play Vampire Survivors or any other game. My middle daughter actively runs away from 90% of computer games. If I get the quest out at any point in time, she's like, I'm off. If I produce the Steam Deck at any point in time, she's like, I'm out of here. The only thing that she ever really has any interest in is anything on the Switch. So if you get a Switch controller, she's first person there. My youngest daughter, and I may have mentioned this already, has had a bit of an interest in some games recently. She played a game called Venba, played it from start to finish with almost no help. Bits of help here and there. I'm not saying she didn't have any help, but played it largely on her own, did very well, and finished it. And she got a couple of games for Christmas, one of which a game called Unpacked, which she's played, and I think it's one of those. I think she enjoys it, but it doesn't quite tick the box, scratch the itch. I don't know what I would want to say there. I got a game in a Humble bundle, a Humble Choice, that I was like, oh, this game's got your name written all over it. When I was watching her playing it, I was like, this is this is way too complex for me. I was like, this is not the game for us. But she gave it a really good go, and I was very impressed. One of the games that she got for Christmas is a game called A Little to the Left. A Little to the Left is a very simple premise of a game. It is not a simple game. I think there's over 100 puzzles, and the puzzles are, I'll give you an example. You've got 5 pencils. Each of the pencils is a different level of sharp. So one's got like a tiny little nib, one's got a bit more, one's a bit sharper, one's almost completely sharp, and then one's fully sharp. And they're just randomly put on the screen. What do we suppose is the way to solve this problem? Well, you put them in order of sharpness. And that's that. You have completed that puzzle and you move on to the next one. You've got a place setting. So you've got a mat, a plate, a knife, a fork. Where do they go? You lay them out. Once they're laid out, that's that puzzle solved. Move on to the next. It's that. These books are all different sizes. What do you suppose you do here? The puzzles can be difficult, but the principle fairly simple. There is a puzzle, you have to work it out and then do it. And it's just basically a bit of drag and drop. This game, this one has taken hold. It's grabbed hold of it and gone, me and you, we're in this one for the long haul. And as I was talking about last night, I am a gamer. We know this. I'm going to go and talk about many computer games later in this podcast, and have done for nearly 300 episodes of this podcast. I've always liked computer games. I've always enjoyed computer games. I had a weird realization at the weekend about why that is. And kind of very telling to have a realization at the age of 44 about why you've been doing something for 35, 6, 7 years. And then a sudden horrific panic of, oh no, does that mean I don't want to play games anymore? It's fine. Apparently, I still want to play computer games. I am a gamer. Like I say, 35-year veteran. Commodore 64, baby. So, that is one half of me. The other half of me is parent. And I look at computer games as a way to waste your time, waste your life, can be all consuming, can be the thing that makes your child not do what you want them to. It can be the reason for bad behavior. It can be a distraction. It can be so many things. So, I ride the knife edge on this one. One side is I love computer games. I love the things that they are able to do, the problem-solving abilities that are required, and a multitude of other things. On the other side is basically all of the bad things, all of the downsides, all of the things that we know we're supposed to feel about computer games. So, I had both of these things in play at the weekend. My daughter, Daddy, can I play A Little to the Left? Yeah, you can. There's nothing going on right now. You have asked very nicely. Yes, you can play that game because I bought it for you for Christmas and you haven't really played it. There we go. A little while later, having had some help from me, a variety of ups and downs with the game, but generally the game was going well. There was a conversation. Oh, you need to go and get ready because you're going out shortly. This wasn't me. I was doing something else. And I heard this "Oh, but I don't want to miss out on my game." My ears pricked and I was like, huh? I need to take note here. I need to be listening to the rest of this conversation. So what's going on? No, it's time to go and get ready because you're going out in a bit. So you've got jobs you need to do. So go and do your jobs. That was the end of the conversation. Jobs were done. And the game was left and that was that. But then she returned. Straight back to the game. And I was like, Not sure how I feel about this. Admittedly, there was nothing for her to do. She'd done her jobs. She'd done the jobs that she needed to do to be able to leave the house and wasn't then leaving the house. Not a problem. A few minutes later, oh, it's time to go. Oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to miss out on my game. I don't like the sound of that. Well, it's fine. Your game will be here when you come back. You don't need to worry. Go and have a nice time. And off she went. I was like, might need to make a mental note of what's just happened because I wonder if that might become a problem in the future. So, my daughter goes out for the day, comes back. One of her first questions to me was, "Daddy, did a little to the left get harder after I went?" I was like, "Well, I only played 3 levels. I played 2 while you were still here and 1 as you were leaving. One of them was really good. It was quite easy. I think you could have done it. The others were just standard levels." All right, okay. That was that. There was no, "Oh, can I play it?" or anything. So there's me going, it's interesting that she was sort of really interested in how her game had gone after she left. That was the gamer in me talking. The parent in me was like, "We have a problem." So, like I say, I had a conversation with Leanne. She had almost 0 concerns, and I was like, okay. Let's let this one play out then. It's so weird to be so completely in the middle of 2 different opposing forces. And it's very simple. If there became a situation where she was like, "I can't function without this game," then you don't play the game anymore. So yeah, it's just probably something to probably keep an eye on, I think. Yeah. No TV this week, I don't think. No, if it's not jumping out, then and admittedly, I have this weird feeling. I finished the McMahon thing. I feel like I went on to something else. It's NFL playoffs at the moment, so there's a lot of NFL football in our house at this point in time. There was a lot of NFL over the weekend. And then me and Leanne rewatched one of the championship games, so that could be why there's not been any TV. There has, however, been some movie watching. I have watched 2 films. One is new, one is very old. Don't tell my children, but I watched Transformers 1. I felt it was okay because the child that got it for Christmas has seen it, saw it at the cinema, and had no interest in watching it at Christmas. The child who I honestly thought would have had less interest in it sat down and watched it back to back. The child who practically begged me to take her to the cinema to see it didn't want to watch it. And the child that I thought would have absolutely zero interest because it's just above his pay grade has also seen it. So I was like, I'm pretty sure they'll be okay with me watching this. I watched it over a series of days for a variety of reasons. I watched it while I was on the treadmill. That was one. And one of the parts of this review is it's long. That puppy's a 2-hour movie. That'll be your 2-hour kids film, ladies and gents. And do you know something? Boy, did it feel like it. That film is long in every conceivable way. It feels long. It is long. It's a child's film, but it's long. It's very talky. There are these very distinct points where there's action. There's an action bit going on. There's some action happening. There's a fast-paced chase or whatever happening. And then in between there is just talking. Wow. Hands down, a prime, pun intended, candidate for a film that could have easily been cut down to 90 minutes without batting an eyelid. If you'd have given me a scalpel, I could have chopped it down to 1 hour 20. Honestly, there were points whilst I was watching it where I was saying this could have been cut out. I understand you're doing a prequel of a well-established franchise. Cartoons, comics, movies, both. You know, animated, CG, whatever. It's well established. You need to do the best job you can do from a prequel perspective. But that was way too much. Also, and I've got to call this one out. This is a spoiler, but not at the same time. I feel like it's an okay spoiler because if you know anything about Transformers, you know what I'm going to say. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm going to say. If you don't know Transformers, you don't know anything that I'm talking about, then it probably doesn't matter because you probably don't care. And that's not an assumption. I'm saying Transformers has been around for at least 30, if not 40 years at this point. So, we've got D16, and we've got Orion Pax. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody that D16 will turn into Megatron, and Orion Pax will turn into Optimus Prime. Okay, cool. I am on board with you for this reason. They were originally friends. I can still get on board with this. It probably works even better if they were friends originally. Okay, well, we need them to have a disagreement, a falling out, and to become mortal enemies. Yeah, we do. I'm with you so far. Okay. So, at a crucial point in time, we will have one of the two characters make a decision that really stands out as not being the sort of decision to make. It just wildly did not make any sense. You could see the crowbar sticking out. It was like they'd gone, oh shit, we completely forgot that these guys are supposed to be enemies. Fuck it, let's pull the plaster off in one go and just do it now. And just completely overlook that it doesn't really flow with the rest of the film. Cool, now they're enemies. There we go, job done. It was so out of place. So it stuck out like a sore thumb that was on fire with a neon sign attached to it. It was painfully glaring. It was just like, all right, However, having said the things that I've said there, what I will say is it was very good. It was very enjoyable. You know, you're playing with fire when you're doing a prequel to a well-established franchise. It was a franchise that I enjoyed immensely as a child. So you're messing around with things. So I think they did a very good job. They absolutely should have taken it to better editing, is all I'll say there. That film could have been 90 minutes. With the blink of an eye, it could have been 90 minutes. It was very good. It was very enjoyable. The back end especially was, you know, obviously once they start, I don't want to spoil too much, but once they start being actual Transformers, it certainly ramps up a bit. Interesting cast as well. There's a I feel like I'm spoiling the whole film at this point, but there's a character who is voiced by someone with a very distinctive voice. That character has a very distinctive voice. The two don't really go together. But it's interesting how they managed to get round it and then make a little joke about it. It's a solid 7 out of 10. Even with all the bits and bobs that weren't ideal. It's a solid 7 out of 10. I was hoping for an 8 out of 10. And I didn't get 8 out of 10. I think that's another reason that I was like, oh man. So, there you go. Transformers 1, everybody. Me and Leanne watched Highlander. She has never seen it. That's why we watched it. I have seen it many times, but not for a long time. Whew, wow. The story of Highlander 2 is legendary. Highlander 2, ironically after talking about Transformers 1, Highlander 2 has possibly the worst editing in a film ever. It has the Evil Dead 2 thing where it's a sequel that ignores a large section of the first one. It's like a reboot, remake, sequel, all rolled into one. It's got a fantastic bad guy, a wild plot, and some of the worst editing in a film ever. The first Highlander has a lot of the same going on for it. It's got an amazing bad guy. We can truly agree the thing that launched Clancy Brown's career was playing the Krogan. I can't remember. He is absolutely the thing, the glue of that film. He is fantastic in that movie. We've got Sean Connery, the only Scottish man in it to not be playing a Scottish man, but keeps the accent. There you go. We've got Christopher Lambert, I think. Yeah. Pick which way you want to say that man's name. Go nuts. And then other people in it. I always loved Highlander. It's got a fantastic soundtrack. Queen did the soundtrack for the Highlander. And I'm sure, from what I remember, it was released as a soundtrack, and only later down the line was some of those tracks then re-released. I'm sure that there are some tracks on the Highlander soundtrack you could only get from the Highlander soundtrack. But wow, it's a wild ride, that movie. We're talking 1985 is the year mentioned in it. I did wonder whether that was because it was, or if it was anything to do with like a past or a future projection. Let's have a look. Highlander is listed as 1986. Let's just see if we can confirm. Kurgan is Clancy Brown's character. Yeah, there's nobody. Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody that majorly stands out other than the people that I mentioned. So yes, IMDb lists it as 1986. Obviously, if that's a release date and they were making it, then yeah, I suppose that makes sense. Oh wow, Highlander 2: The Quickening, 4.2 out of 10. Fucking norm. For what it's worth, I actually like Highlander 2. There is a story that goes with Highlander 2. Apparently there is a director's cut out there that is simultaneously better and worse. The editing in Highlander is truly nearly as bad as the editing in Highlander 2. And I don't know if I'd ever noticed that before. It's still a good film, but it's also not. It's particularly bad in a lot of places. There's so many like glaring things. Connor McLeod just getting into a fist fight with a policeman in a police station. That was probably my favourite bit. Not really a lot of it makes a lot of sense. I always remember it being that thing that you had to look into the law to be able to understand a lot of it. Like, you had to look into, why is this and why is that and how do they know this, that, and the other. Like, Sean Connery's character being, I think he's supposed to be 2,000 years old or something, and then has a fight and gets immediately beaten and stuff like that. There's a lot of plot that serves itself whilst not serving the story. But yeah, it was that thing. Leanne was saying that she enjoyed it and stuff, and I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it as a movie, but whew, yeah, it was a tough watch in places. Computer games. Let's talk computer games. Let's going back to what I was saying about computer games. Vampire Survivors. I splurged. As it stands at the moment, I've got a not buying games and ban on, whatever you want to call it. I'm not allowed to buy any games. I've got a massive backlog of games to work through. I'm not allowed to buy any games, except if Gunman Contracts gets released anytime soon. And apparently, if I want the Castlevania DLC for Vampire Survivors, because it was £3, and technically it's not a game, it's DLC. So yes, I bought the Castlevania DLC for Vampire Survivors. I believe it's called the Ode to Castlevania. Gives you another level, a load of characters, and a load of weapons. The thing I didn't realise when I bought it was you have to unlock them all. Apart from the level, the Castlevania level, you have to unlock everything. And I was like, I kind of just wanted the characters. So that was a bit of a downside. I have unlocked some of the characters by playing the Castlevania level. I've also unlocked a variety of other characters and weapons and other levels that I've been playing through. Sam had been saying to me recently that it's very much one of those when you're under its spell as a game, when you're under its spell, you're very much in it. But if you can break the spell, you kind of never really go back. I wonder if I may have had the spell broken. It was the realization that I could, if I put it on to play, I was probably going to win. Whereas up to that point, it was a bit of an unknown. Also, all of the available upgrades I have purchased. So now all of the gold that I collect is just gold to collect, which obviously is a big part of the playing part of the game. Gold can be used to purchase characters that you unlock, but if you've got 30,000 gold coins and you unlock a character that's going to cost you 800 to buy, it's kind of that scenario. I will encourage my eldest to continue playing. She obviously gets a lot of enjoyment from it. And there are things I want to do. I do want to try and unlock these characters. However, another game on the Steam Deck that's kind of taken hold, kind of got its claws into me. A game that I have played, finished, and played again over a couple of times. Cyberpunk 2077. All of a sudden, I got really into playing it. It's a battery hog, is what I'll say. It chews through the battery on the Steam Deck relatively quickly. I can get about 2 hours out of the Steam Deck battery. Normally, I can get 1 hour out of it playing Cyberpunk. Simply put, it obviously demands a lot of power to run a game like that. Makes sense. However, it does mean you have to play it in hour-long batches. I saw a thing last week saying that Cyberpunk has now achieved a overwhelmingly positive rating on Steam, which is cool. They're saying that, it's mostly fixed now and it's had these updates and they've really they've poured a lot into it and made it the game that it was supposed to be. What I can say from playing it a lot recently on the Steam Deck is, although a lot of what was wrong with it has been fixed, there are still things that haven't. There are missions that don't work properly and you have to sort of go off and do something else and then come back to that mission and then it'll work. I went to do a mission where you got to pay some money. I went, had a conversation, and then didn't get the options. I had to reload the game. And something that can be a little annoying is when you're riding along on the motorbike, hitting the invisible brick wall. Not enough to slam into, but sort of like it's what I would call trips up the bike. Sometimes it's just a minor inconvenience. Other times it can be a bit of a throwing the bike in the air kind of situation. However, going back to what I was saying, it sort of really has got a hold of me. There's been a couple of points in time, 2 or 3 points in time, where I've chosen to play that over other things, which I found interesting. Space Marine 2, been going well. I've only played it, honestly, I've played it twice in the last week. I mentioned it to somebody at work today and they were like, are you still playing that? And I had to do I've just got too much. And we then went into the conversation about the multitasking where games is concerned. If you've got 5 games on the go at once, you're ultimately not finishing 5 games. It's been great. It's been fun. I do feel, as I say every week, that it is getting towards the back end. But honestly, like I say, I've been saying that every week. There was very much if you continue past this point, there's no going back kind of feel at one point. So I do think I'm very much at the last bit, but we shall see. From a VR perspective, I played and finished Vertigo 2's New Game Plus. It was good. I enjoyed it. I expected it to be more difficult, which it was in places. Lost my rag with it a bit through one section of the game. It was a section of the game that I'd struggled with on my first playthrough, but minor struggle, whereas it became a bit of a major struggle on the New Game Plus. Also, because the game's harder, I got to see some different attacks from some of the bosses, which was kind of cool. Didn't get to see it on the first time through, so that was interesting. But I did play it and finish it. So I've kind of left that for now. I went back to Into the Radius 2. And wow, was that an experience. It's had a couple of updates since I last played it. One was like a major update that I never got to. And then one was a minor bug fix update thing. I had to Google some of the controls because I couldn't remember for the life of me. And spoilers, Googling those controls got me nowhere. Could not find the answer to what the controls were for jump. It turned out I needed to know what crouch was as well. I'm guessing this is just off the back of not playing it for a while. Something I will say is this. That game has become way too complicated. There is so much in it now. It truly felt overwhelming. And I reached a point where I was like, I don't really want to play this. Bearing in mind that, it's the sequel to one of my favourite games. It was very rapidly becoming a favourite game. And then all of a sudden, I just went, nah, I'm good, thanks. And I feel sad. But it, as an early access game, it's got issues. And I think that they might have crossed over into trying to do too much at this point. And I honestly feel that it's probably time to dial it back. So we'll have to see what comes of any future updates. Hopefully there's going to be some new areas at some point, but yeah, bit of a difficulty with that one. I randomly remembered that I bought a game in the Christmas sale for a standalone quest. And it's a game that often appears on like a hidden gems kind of thing. If you watch like a video on YouTube or like you stumble across like a website or something, it often appears as a hidden gem. It's a game called Resist. Set in one of those, you become like some sort of cyber terrorist off the back of of being accused of assassinating the president. Best way to describe it: Spider-Man with guns. Yes, you grapple and swing through the city basically as if you were Spider-Man. But you have guns and you shoot stuff. And I can't play it for very long because even me with my iron stomach for motion sickness ends up suffering, and a lot sooner than I would with other things. But it's a lot of fun. I wasn't sure what to expect. I did fully expect to not really be able to play it. I thought it was going to be too complicated. I thought the swing mechanic would be too difficult, and a whole host of other reasons. But I've actually found it okay. I found it, it's quite intuitive. The swing, you swing as you would imagine swing, and there are other components to it. You've got sort of almost like a jetpack aspect. You sort of got a bit of freedom of movement without the grapples. There is a mechanic that I don't like, which is if you grapple and swing into the side of a building, that's kind of the end of that, even though your grapple's kind of still attached. I would have wanted you to be able to like move around the side of the building sort of thing and then try and do something about carrying on the swing like you would in one of the Marvel Spider-Man games, but apparently not in this one. So it's enough that I've gone back to it and played it a couple of times and I've enjoyed it. But yes, it does very quickly for me make me feel sick and I have to stop playing. I did play another new game, but I'm not entirely sure I've got a lot of nice things to say about the way it's set out, so I might reserve my judgment on that one. But yeah, there we go. That is the podcast for the week. Thank you for joining me, and I'll speak to you next time. So there you go, watch things up. Another one done, another one gone. Big thank you for watching, big thank you for listening, big thank you for being here. Before you go, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button. That way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Cookie Cast.